How important it is to be crazy and funny, to feel happiness. What is the weird therapy about, and how do you react when almost all your valuables go up in flames? Find out in episode 14 of the Walky Podcast. Boom! Next episode of Walky Podcast is recording now, and I have a beautiful, nice guest sitting next to me on a beautiful, very special place today. And his name is Sam. I want to introduce you before you maybe introduce my person.
Okay.
And I'm happy to have Sam here. And Sam is 29 years old. He's from Tasmania, which is Australia. Some people say so.
Connected. We like to disassociate ourselves. People make jokes about us, so we push a bit more space between us, but we are technically a part of Australia.
So, and Sam traveled around the world in the last 4 years, when I'm right. And we met here in the beautiful Yukon, where you stayed for kind of 2 years.
Yep, over 2 years.
Pretty close to going back home after this crazy time. Yeah, that's Sam. And we will go deeper into your person, into your life later. And I'm happy.
Uncover everything.
I'm very happy to have you here.
Thank you, Jan. And I must say, it's the first time I've ever been called beautiful within the first sentence of being introduced. So it's very nice to get that introduction, and it's nice to be here. And can I just say, here, let me just paint an image quickly of where here is, and I'll pass it over to Jan.
That's super important.
That's important because where here is one of the oldest cabins on the resort that hasn't been lived in for 20 years or so?
Yeah, more than 20 years.
20 years or so. And Jan, I'm throwing the ball back to him here, Jan took it upon himself to sort of just redecorate it a little bit, make it livable, fix the stove. And we are sitting here in this old cabin, small cabin, just for the two of us, fire next to us, looking out the window. First time in 20 years people are here. What a cool place for a podcast.
Yeah, and we're looking out in the snow.
We're looking out the window. It's amazing.
And it's minus 20 degrees outside.
It's cold. Yeah. And we're warm in here. Like, I'm snuffed. This is too warm. We're going to be opening the door at some stage, but it's good right now. It's great. And yeah, I want to can I grab the microphone metaphorically and just I'm grabbing it. I'm not taking it off my shirt.
You don't have to grab it.
It's there. I'm not going to touch it, I promise. But I'm going to grab it. And the first thing I thought about when I'm sitting here next to the fireplace is just a quick little historical moment for me that it reminded me of. And what it's cool is I'm sitting right next to the fireplace. I'm half a metre away from it. And it reminded me of something in history that I think is so cool. It's called the Fireside Chats. This was an amazing moment in history. It was the 1930s in America.
Yeah.
The president was Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Radio was brand new to the world, basically. No one's using it. No one's using it on a broadcasting level. And he decided after the Great Depression to broadcast to people's homes to comfort them in light of this horrible financial crisis. And they called it the Fireside Chats because it felt like people would gather at nighttime, families, and turn the radio on, and the president would talk to you by the fireplace.
Really?
He'd talk to you and it felt like he was in the home.
Yeah.
He had a beautiful, soothing voice, and he'd talk about how the banks are stabilising, how the economy is going to get better, and how we are coming together after this horrible thing.
Yeah.
And he'd be sitting there with you in the room, and it felt like he was there by the fireside. So they called it the Fireside Chats. And I think that's just so cool because here we are sitting by a fire. It's just a great place to talk.
We're doing exactly that. Yeah.
We're doing that.
Yeah.
I think you have to have something like a fireplace to create a good conversation. And that's what I thought about. So I'm just sorry, I'm giving the microphone back. but I thought that was important to say because that's super cool.
Oh, I love these stories. Yeah. That's why you're here. That's why we're talking. And luckily we also have a microphone, so we don't have to
pass it back and forward.
Yeah.
We won't do that.
So I like to ask you a question which you normally hear every day, or maybe a lot of people out there hear this question every day. But I mean it. Like, how are you today? Like, how are you today?
You don't just want me to give like, I'm good. And I'm not. I'm good, thank you.
I'm not too bad.
Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm good, get up and leave, podcast over. You want a genuine answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, like you said in the introduction, I'm a couple of days out from going home, which is over 4 years since I've been away all over the place. And how I'm feeling right now is, I would say, I am just over the moon excited. There's adrenaline. I can't sit still. You probably noticed me this morning wandering around the resort. It's just this exciting feeling. Like being away for so long, you blend in and to new places. No one really knows you. And it's a wonderful feeling of being like anonymous in the world. It's super cool. I love that. But then going back to familiar and seeing everything you know, seeing everything you grew up with, seeing people, seeing family. And that first moment you see either your parents or your friends, and there's that reconnection again. I'm already putting myself in that position. So it's like any experience when you're about to go and do it. I've got those sort of butterflies, that excitement, and it's really sort of ramping up from my stomach. So I'm great. I'm absolutely great, but excited to move on. That's how I'm feeling right now, I think.
Yeah, that's how,
fair?
Yeah, that's how are you in the moment? Yeah, today.
I feel amazing. I think I'm sort of reflecting on 2 years at this wonderful place, which I'm trying to sort of balance. I don't want to be looking forward to home too much because I don't want to wish away such a wonderful place, as we know. Yeah. So just trying to savor and enjoy everything at the same time.
Yeah,
I guess.
I remember this, like the feeling when you know that you will leave is a really special. It's a really special feeling.
It's amazing, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the amazing, but also like it's very
mixed feelings.
Yeah, mixed. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, it's intense.
It's very intense.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know that too. You've traveled. You've traveled lots. I mean, you're interviewing people as well. But we always like to say, Jan has been a lot of places, and please remember that. And when you find your feet in a place, you just go to a place, and I know you do this as well, you don't just sort of stay there for a day or two and go on past. You really plant your roots. You get along. I know you love this. You get along with the people. You interact with the people. This is the whole purpose, I suppose, of the podcast, getting to know people. Exactly, so when you plant more roots, it makes it more emotional. You're more invested in a place. Yeah. And when you go to leave it again, it's a lot more intense, like you said. There's a lot more involved in that. And that's it's an exciting and extreme feeling, which is, I think, why we travel. Well, it's one of the reasons.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
To have those experiences, for sure.
What do you think about encountering things? Can be everything.
Just in general, people, places and stuff?
Can be everything.
Anything.
Can be also feeling or plan.
Well, that's interesting. And I'm gonna reply by telling you something a little more vulnerable than maybe I would say. I love people. I like people, but I'm going to be honest. There is a big part of me that would avoid encounters. There's that always wanted to be liked, always wanted things to react a certain way when I walked in a room. I wanted objects, I wanted places to be a certain way, and I could just fit in and it works for me. But when you have such expectation of people and places and things, when you expect the encounter to react with you, you create such an anxiety and such a worry. And I think when I had this moment when I was in Chicago, big city, big, beautiful city, huge, swarming over you, tall towers, so many people everywhere, and you know nobody.
Yeah.
And I just was walking down Lincoln Street and all these beautiful streets of Chicago, and I just forgot about me. I took away me from that experience. I know that seems sort of ironic because I am the person in that moment, but I let the objects, I let the encounters just wash over me. I was just there. It was almost like a bystander or someone who was not involved, and that I let the natural encounters, I let everything just happen as it were, and had no expectation, no anxiety, and I didn't worry. I didn't feel too much. I didn't expect too much. It just happened, and I think that changed my mentality with encounters. And I decided to myself, no, I have to remove myself in some way from these positions and just let them happen as they were. Yeah. And that really has been a big change for me, I think, with encounters.
When was it?
Chicago was, that was going back 2019. It would have been in September, late September. Yeah. Before that, I think I was still sort of expecting a lot from places, as you do, and people as well. But 2019 was a big moment in Chicago where I was like, yep, no, this is what I have to strip myself and remove myself and just let everything take its due course and wash over me. It was great.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah. I sometimes think like that, I don't know if there's maybe a different capacity of which you can encounter. Like is there maybe sometimes you are in a mood, you can encounter everything, and
Yes.
you can let everything inside of you, and you're open for everything. And sometimes, like, there's a limit, like,
And you close in a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah, yeah, and then it's too much, and then you close yourself a bit, and then
I think
you're
you're
not
right.
open for every single encounter. So, but it's
No, you're 100% right. I think going on from what you've just said then, it's important to understand what position you are in and knowing what position you're in then. Knowing if that door is open to people and places, or knowing if it's slightly ajar or closed, and then you act accordingly to that. But that takes a lot of, as we say, introspection, or looking into yourself and giving time to understand how you feel and how that self, who you are in that moment, it's not always who you are.
Yeah.
It's always chopping and changing.
Exactly.
You're always wearing different masks, different shades of character.
yeah,
And identifying that is super important. I think traveling, maybe you'll agree with me, traveling gives you so much time to find out those characteristics in yourself.
Yeah.
Isn't that the best
Yeah.
thing about it?
Yeah.
Time. It gives you so much space, room, and time to find out that and know that.
Yeah.
And know that you might have to separate sometimes, and other times you can go full throttle into it.
Yeah, because you get so much different mirrors
Yeah.
of yourself.
Yes.
Like,
That's a very good word. Mirrors, exactly right. You get so many reflections.
yeah.
And it's how you let that information in. I think you said it to me the other day. We were talking about ego and stuff, and it's about a lot of the times those reflections, they come at you, but they're too bright, they're too sharp, and it's almost too intrusive.
Yeah.
It's too harsh. But the more you stay away and the more you let it, you can learn so much, and you understand, which version of me is now, which is then, and then you can do a lot more with that, and you can let a lot more in. So that's a good question. That's a good question, and it's a question that I probably would have answered as I said 4 years ago. I would have said to you, encounters, I like them, bring them on, and it would have just been like that. You know what I mean? But and I feel like, and I really feel like traveling has allowed me time for those questions to really go, hang on, I'm going to flesh this out and go, there's more to it than that. There's more to it in me, and I'm sure in you as well.
I'm pretty sure, and I
think so.
That's a perfect, how you say,
Segue.
segue.
A segue.
Yeah.
A segue is like, rolling from one topic to another.
Yeah,
Like,
because
that's
you
good.
traveled a lot. I said it before, like you traveled 4 years. I think you traveled before as well.
Yep, before a little bit.
But yeah, tell us a bit. When did you left Tasmania? What was your feeling? Why did you left? Was it the plan to stay away for 4 years? Why you? Yeah, let's
expand on that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's rewind 4 years. You're asking a fair bit here. You're testing my memory. 4 years. Okay, so it was roughly around January 2018. Is that right? Yeah, January 2018. And me and my friend decided we wanted to go somewhere in Asia. We wanted to start a trip. We wanted to make our way to Europe. So we kind of just went on the map and said...
How was your situation in Tasmania? Like you...
It was great. I was working at a record shop with a friend, looking at maybe investing in that, had living with a friend at the time as well. And it was great. It was never a thing where I wanted to get out. It wasn't an escape. It wasn't, didn't have a negative situation at all. But the one thing I will say is, I think we all can relate to this. And you've said this to me as well, I'm the kind of person that is interested in so many things. If someone's passionate, I'm interested. I want to do that. I want to listen. So are you. So when you have that mindset, there are so many options, it's hard to choose and narrow it down. And I felt like I wasn't choosing. I was keeping so many options open and creating even more options. I
completely
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I felt like I just had to go somewhere out of that comfortable environment and just let these thoughts sort of, we say, compartmentalize, put them in boxes, try and work things out a little bit more and let it just happen naturally. I didn't want to sit idle at home just doing what I want and slipping into that routine. I said, no, let's just go out and let those thoughts and ideas that I have just come out naturally. And they'll find their time in the sun when a certain situation is required. Catching a bus in some foreign country where you're struggling, we haven't slept, sleeping in airports in Hong Kong, where really cold was something out from you. And then you realise, wow, I acted this way I never would have before, and you learn more about yourself. You start to understand more. So that was one of the big reasons I just wanted to get out and see how my impression of myself was on this bigger world picture. How did the Sam that I thought I was stand up in the big world?
Yeah.
And I think you're surprised, you're disappointed, you're shocked, you're everything about it. You find out a lot. But that was the start. And then yeah, I went through Southeast Asia for sort of 7-8 months, and then went through Central Asia.
Alone already?
So no, I was still at this stage with my good friend Mitch, who I've been friends with since high school. Went to high school together. And the first trip we ever made together was to India and Nepal overland, which was stunning. It was his first big trip out of Australia. And we realised then we wanted it. We wanted the adventure. You know, I had this broad brim Australian Akubra cowboy hat. He had this captain's hat. Yeah. And it was kind of this thing. We're just going to go. We're not going to plan anything. We're just going to do it. And if we want something, if we like something, we're going to say yes. And we chased that all the way to Europe, which was insane. That was really insane. So I suppose we got to Europe, and I thought, well, I had an English visa planned out, and I lived in England. The dream was always I'm a football fan. To live football, when I say football, soccer. I have, as an Australian, I have to stipulate there's about 12 different types of football in Australia. Soccer, for all you European fans, I'm sorry, I call it football as well. But I've always been a football fan.
You don't feel sorry. That's fine.
That's fine. I just had to put that in there. So, and I always wanted to go watch my team play in the football, and I did, and they won.
Which is it?
Fulham in the English League 2, believe it or not. It's the second tier of the English League. Yeah. And I saw them win twice. And it was just incredible. I got to live with so many different people, working in hotels, bars, coffee shops, restaurants, teaching, English in Hanoi. And it wasn't that I was planned. It wasn't that I was right for these jobs. I bumped into them. We say serendipitously. By putting yourself out in a great situation, these chances arose, and I just said, yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Come on, let's try. And that continued when I left Europe and headed to America. And I went to the south of America, the southern states. And I said to myself before in England, I said, my dad is Dutch. He's a cyclist. And when he was younger, my age at the time, he cycled the coast in America. He did a lot in Canada, Australia, New Zealand. He was this amazing Dutch cyclist who just lived out of a bag. And he did this famous route down the west coast of North America. And I just said, I've never done it. I said, I'm going to do it. My dad's did it. Why not? I'll do it.
Yeah.
And I did it. I decided to just do it. And I got to Vancouver, Jan, and I remember I walked into a bike shop and I said to the guy, I don't even know what I'm looking for. I don't know how many gears a bike should have.
Yeah.
I don't know what I need. I just know that I want to do this. If my dad can do it, I am going to do it. And I think this Irish bloke, he looked at me like, you are just nuts. You're not getting past the borderline of Vancouver. They're not letting you through America.
Yeah.
But they did. And man, that was kind of like from Asia through Europe into North America on this bike ride. I stopped and I thought.
How far did you cycle down?
So from Vancouver way on down to the Mexican border.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think with all the detours I did, it was like 4,500 kilometers. And I just met people along the way. Oh, goodness, we tried to live without money for 2 weeks. Stuff like this. Stuff that I would never do. I'm not sitting here like grooming my beard. I'm not a worldly type, like go out and necessarily do it all person. This was tough. Like I thought, what am I doing? I like a shower every day. That's the normal Sam. And all of a sudden you're not showering for 20 days and you're picking food out of a bin. It was like, this is insane. The experience was amazing. And then all of a sudden I was running out of money and I wanted to come to Canada. And I did. I came to a place that was different. I said, what about the north? I'm sure it's the same for you. What about that area a little bit further up?
Yeah.
Because most people maybe say Toronto, Vancouver. And I said, what about the Yukon?
Yeah.
Took a chance. They let me stay for 2 years. And here we are, drinking tea and talking. Well, actually, can I just, Jan's drinking tea. What type of tea are you drinking, actually?
Ginger.
You're a ginger guy.
I'm a ginger guy.
Lemon and ginger, good tea.
Yeah,
well, I'm maybe showing my...
Because...
Go, please.
I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think since I'm drinking ginger tea, it's a few years ago, I only been sick once.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I say herbal teas are like good remedies.
A lot of people say ginger is the thing. Like if you drink ginger regular...
You're going to be in better health. Yeah. You're going to be good.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of in good health, no one tends to say this about the drink that I'm about to consume.
Yeah.
And I won't tell you what I'm drinking. I want you to more or less listen to what I'm drinking and really just soak in this sound because I think it's one of the best sounds out there.
Perfect.
It has to have you have to go that at the end. It's like the crispness. If you have,
and then this is happening.
That, by the way, was yarn. That was no one pouring anything. That's incredible. I can't do that. But what I will do is sip my drink, which, if you haven't guessed by now, is a beer.
Yeah.
And let me sip
I
them.
commented it like.
Perfect. You should be a voice actor. If Hollywood ever needs someone to pretend to be like the pouring of a drink, you're the man. If this podcast doesn't work out, you are going to be that voice actor.
I think my brother's even better with that.
Really?
I learned it
It's
from
family.
him. Yeah.
You learned it from your brother.
Well, I don't know, not learn it, but you were starting and I was
and
like,
you listened in.
Like, that's.
I think that's funny because that maybe this is a perfect segue, to use that great word again, is that you strike me, Jan, as the kind of person that listens so intently. Now, whether it's the sounds of your brother making the pouring noise, or it's in making a podcast about people from all over the place, has that always been something that you think you're very good at? Or is it a skill that you've had to get better at, listening to people?
Ooh, that's a very nice, good question.
I'm throwing it on you, sorry. Blindsided you.
It's good because I think I thought about that a few times, yeah. And I noticed from time to time that a lot of people like to talk with me.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I wasn't focused on, I'm interested in them, because I wasn't aware about that. It just happened.
Natural kind of thing.
Yeah. So, and then after, well, I don't know if I went to the 20s and something, like someday I noticed more and more, okay, this is happening for a reason because I'm interested as well. But I wasn't aware that I'm really interested. Like, it
was happening like on an unconscious level.
Exactly.
You were just naturally doing it.
Yeah.
It was almost like it's just ingrained in you. That's an impressive, I think that's a thing that's so impressive. But I'm going to go ahead and say that's pretty rare. There are people that are good at listening, but I think in this day and age, maybe you'll agree, where opinion is everything, where we have platforms to give opinions and we all want our voice to be heard, and it needs to be heard. And a lot of times we're losing listening. Really listen. I mean, not just pretending to listen and hearing something that you like and jumping in, actually listening to the other person.
Oh yeah, but there's also a point which I noticed now. This podcast and this format is like in this case super nice, which that wasn't my plan. Like,
it just happened. It just grew to this.
It's the same. Like, it happened, and I noticed like a few months ago, like, hey, that's really what we need. Like, listening to people. Like,
Not structured either. Like we said, not structured at all. Not like you're not writing notes and reading scripts. Yeah. It's just being in a cabin or wherever you've been all over the place doing these podcasts.
Yeah.
And it's about finding people in these places and just talking like friends.
Yeah.
Or strangers. You've had people on that you've just met.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing. It's not just people you know. It's random people.
Yeah. But I have to be honest, on the other hand, like, I'm a super sensitive person and I really need the opposite as well, being by myself, talking to no one and listening to no one for a while. That's what I have to do, because otherwise it would overwhelm me if I always be into other persons so much. So, and that's like a game which I have in my life between love people, loving humans in general. And on the other hand, sometimes I hate them.
Yeah.
And I don't want to,
stark contrast, big contrast between.
Yeah. And of course I hate myself as well. Like, why are we doing it? Why do I do this bullshit? And so
what's the point?
Yeah. So it's always hard to find the balance. But
exactly. But I think it goes back to what we said earlier. And we said it's having that time whilst traveling to look into yourself and find those different versions and know when you are in that mood. Know when you are in the mood for people and know when you're not. That takes time. It's not something you just know. I think we take that for granted. We all think we just know when we are a certain person. No, you've got to really give attention to that.
Yeah.
And listening is not just to me and people on the podcast, it's listening to yourself.
Oh,
And I think in such a busy world, we don't leave much time for that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the Yukon has been good for that and is good for that because a lot of darkness. We're in winter, we're heading towards the darkest period of time. You get isolation. You get time for that. And if you're willing to dig up some dirt and some tough thoughts, there is so much to grab there and learn from.
Yeah.
Listening is one of them. And I think, you're great at it. And that's a really good skill that everyone needs to continue to work towards. We are going to get running commentary for the whole entire drink. It's a big drink, by the way. It's not just a small can. It's a half a litre, nearly half a litre. And it's Yukon beer. What do you think of Yukon beer? Do you have any you're as a German? As I know, I have to bring that up. I have to bring that up. As a German with the stereotype as the beer drinkers of the world, how does Yukon beer stand?
Well, the typical Canadian answer would be, it's not too bad.
What a good nothing answer. Thank you. I'll drink to that.
There are quite a few nice beers. Mm-hmm. So, but in Europe or in Germany, we're not really used to drink IPA. And
all that flavoursome stuff.
Yeah,
You're the purists.
Yeah, lager pills.
Pills and the good stuff.
But some of them getting close to that, and then
they're doing okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're fun. You can't see the can, but they've got all types of Yukon.
Oh, they're much more creative in the design here, to be honest. Yeah,
I think maybe that tells you something.
Not only this brand,
that tells you something because the beer's probably not that great, but the presentation makes you think it's okay.
Exactly.
Maybe the ones that have to work harder have a worse product.
Yeah.
If anyone's listening from Yukon Brewery or whatever, I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm drinking half the time. It's just me rambling.
You told me an interesting story when we sit in the car. Was one of your... Maybe you have a lot of different crazy experiences while you're traveling, but there was one where you... was it when you start cycling and you left your stuff in the Airbnb?
Yes. The cycling trip from Vancouver. Yes, I left my bags. Oh, should I go on? Should I breathe some life into this?
Yeah.
I'll breathe some life into this. So I mean, I've been pretty lucky. I haven't had too many bad run-ins on this trip. My friend and I crashed a motorbike in Laos. My mum's listening. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. But I had a motorbike crash in Laos, and it was a bit crazy. But apart from that, I was doing pretty well. When I got to Vancouver and I was doing that trip that we spoke about, I wanted to leave a lot of my stuff. So I had like my little banjo, my beautiful Australian hat that I brought from Australia, my hiking bag, all like memorabilia and stuff that I collected over that 3 years. I left it with a lady in Canada, in Vancouver, and she was lovely. She's a little Chinese family that would bring students in to this Airbnb accommodation, and she said, absolutely, leave your bag with me and just come pick it up on the way whenever you come back. And I thought, great, I'm not going to have to lug around 40 kilos of stuff. I've got my 2 little bike bags, off I go. And it's going great. I get all the way through Washington State, wonderful coasts of Oregon, and I'm just ticking into California. Beautiful, redwoods, lovely. Top of the world, couldn't get any better, right? I get this phone call. and it's one of the first rainy days I've had. And I'm in this little cafe. I've just arrived after like 120 kilometers cycling. I'm exhausted. And I get this phone call. Now, this lady she was so direct. This is the thing. There was no like, hello, I've got some bad news to report. It was none of that. It was just, this is the way she answered. Hello, house burnt down last night, all stuff gone. Husband jumped from second floor, broke leg. Sorry.
And there was no hello, Sam.
It was just straight to it. It was literally just straight to it, monotone, no inflection of the voice, just house burnt down, stuff gone, husband broke leg. I think I was still breathing in and out from the cycling, like, and all of a sudden, like I said to you, I don't think I was ever actually sad. I think I laughed. I think I hung up the phone, laughed. And the girl behind the counter at the cafe was like, what's happened? I said, just all my stuff's just burnt down. Pretty much all of it. Apart from what you see here, it's all gone. So she bought me a coffee, a $3.50 latte or whatever it was. And we sat down and we talked about everything that I lost. Yeah. And there was not one drop of sadness throughout. We laughed the whole way. I'd lost everything that I collected, but somehow I laughed. I'm not sure if I was going insane, but the whole thing just was crazy.
So because you left all the important stuff, you left there.
Well, I mean, you're right. I don't have a lot of important things in my life. I don't have a lot of tangible, like important things. But what I did have, apart from my passport and a few other things on me, was there. All my collectibles, things that would be good reminders of the trip. up in flames. Yeah. I couldn't believe it. So I was just, it was funny because when I came to the Yukon, when I flew from ended up flying from San Diego to Vancouver to the Yukon, I flew here in late November. And it was cold. It was like a cold streak, minus 20 something, minus 25, close to minus 30. And I was in my bike shorts.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything. Yeah. And people were
remember that Ollie told me that, yeah.
People were kind of looking at me just kind of like, what? I mean, Australians, people have a bad impression of maybe Australians anyway, but they must have thought, where did he think he was going in the world? Yeah. So that was a minor bump, but I look at it now as actually...
Well, you survived.
I survived. And I laughed, and I've told that story quite a few times, and it seems to make other people laugh. So, you know what? Gone is the banjo. Gone is the bag. There is a good memory. So that's great.
You have a new banjo now.
I have a new banjo.
Which is really impressive because you told me that you start learning playing banjo in Canada, like up here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you never played before?
No, I had this little banjo ukulele. It's called a banjolele, which I bought it in Scotland when I was living up the north of Scotland. Yeah. I never played before, and I love that sort of music. I love folk music, Americana music. And I said, as soon as I arrived, before I came to Southern Lakes, I stayed with a group of people at a B&B in Whitehorse, and I told that story, that same story about the luggage burning to them, and they laughed. But the son of the family I was staying with, he said, "Oh, I've got a bigger banjo, a proper 5-string that no one uses. No one knows what they're doing. Do you want to take it with you to the resort and just play around?" I said, "Well, I don't know how to play the 5-string properly. I never played it, but I'll take it. I'm sure I'll have time." It was winter, and I took it, and I think initially I just sort of played around myself, which only gets you so far. And then I looked online, YouTube a bit, tried to sort of work out these tablatures and stuff. And then I just got a couple of lessons from like some guys online. Yeah. It's so accessible these days. And then, for the last 2 years I've been playing. And this place is so conducive with learning. It's such a great place to learn. And like I said, time. I've had time to play and get okay, good enough now that I can sort of play. And you're in this state of like a flow. Everything shuts off around you. You can just play. Mm. I know you've played. You grew up playing cello, right?
Yeah.
Which is super crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, guitar is such like, everyone picks up guitar. I love it. Yeah. But to pick up the cello, that's pretty crazy. And you can kind of play a bit of piano as well.
Yeah, a bit.
You dabble a bit. Yeah. Is there a thought maybe that you would like to get back into music? Going from me to you. Well, you missed the cello?
That's interesting because last time when I was in town and I bought you some strings.
Thank you very much for
your
that.
Banjo.
Thank you very much. I break them. See, I'm not that professional. I break them.
No. So when I was in the shop buying your strings, a thought came by in my mind and just said, ask the person here if you can buy a cello here.
And Whitehorse.
In Whitehorse.
What are the chances?
Yeah. So I asked the woman on the desk, on the front desk, do you think there's a possibility to buy a cello here? Because I just felt like how great it would be to have a cello back and just playing.
After all these years.
Yeah, and being in these places and playing a bit cello. Like
looking out into on the lake with the mountains in the back and playing cello.
Yeah.
It sounds incredible.
She said like, we don't have them here, but I can order easily if you want. So I was like, okay, that's good to know.
Just keep that thought there.
Yeah, and yesterday when I had a conversation with Ollie and Steffi, and we talked about if I'm maybe staying a bit longer here. I said, well, I'm not staying longer if I don't have a piano here. For sure. So if I'm staying longer here, I definitely buy a piano.
I was going to say, that sounds like almost like a nudge. If you buy a piano for me, I will stay here.
Well, no, I didn't say that.
No, I know you wouldn't have intended that, but
that's if you ask now the question, I'm absolutely into that in the next weeks, months to get back to music, because this is. Yeah,
it's a perfect place to learn it and like we said, to get in that zone. It doesn't matter what. I mean, I've learned that. I by no means anywhere near to being professional, barely competent in some things, but just to pick it up, the instrument, and make that music in a place like this, and to slow everything down is wonderful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, you bring something with you.
I brought some. Well,
so before we forgot it,
we all this beer drinking and shallow talk and,
Yeah.
and things burning down, something we actually have that hasn't burnt down. I thought I'd bring something in because, I mean, I'm so lucky to be, I don't think I'm very important, but I was just standing next to Jan when he thought about getting a guest. I think I was the closest person. And he said, you're going to be a guest if you don't mind it. And I said, well, can I bring something? Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, growing up, it's like when you're in kindergarten and
someone inviting you.
Inviting you. You bring something.
It's super kind.
You bring something with you, right?
Yeah.
And so what? I mean, this is the Walky Talky podcast, correct? Am I wrong? No, it's the Walky Talky podcast. So I'm going to hold it. I'm going to grab it. I wonder if it beeps if I turn it on.
Maybe someone's answering. Oh, it beeps.
It beeps. It does beep. I brought, as you maybe can hear, a walkie-talkie because I thought that was fitting. But why I brought this is because what's fascinating about the word walkie-talkie is, do you know what walkie-talkie is in French?
In French?
In French.
No.
Talkie-walkie. It's literally the backward. It's not walkie-talkie. It's talkie-walkie.
So how do you say?
That's what they say. They don't say it. That's how they say it in French. Talkie-walkie. Yeah. It's just the opposite way around. Isn't that strange?
It is.
Because I mean, and I thought to myself, well, what does that say about the French? Because we say walkie-talkie, the walking comes first, and maybe the talking gets brought on after that. But they do the talking before they walk, and I think the French are just backwards. I think the French is maybe. No offense to any French people out there, but the French are too focused on the talking first. They're not doing the walking first.
That's what I thought as well.
You think of me?
If you start talking first, maybe you never walk.
You never walk. You stay there. And I think the walking first helps to bring on the flow of the talking, right?
Exactly what we did. We walked.
We walked to get here, and then we sat down, and now we are talking. Yeah. So I think the French word for walkie-talkie is wrong. Sorry, French people, but I think it's the wrong word. I think if you dissect and analyze what it means, you walk first, then you talk. No one should be talking first and then walking.
That's really interesting. I'm looking forward to meet a French person and ask.
Talk to them about it. Yeah. I want to know.
Talk first.
Talk first. Maybe you should tell them and walk first. Try and teach them.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you should show them the way.
Yeah.
Maybe they won't come with you, though, because they're used to talking first.
That could be.
They'll just be like, where are you going? We have to talk first. What are you doing, man? What do you come? This is not how it works here. Yeah. I'm not sure if it's that culturally ingrained in the language. But anyway, who knows? I thought that was fascinating. Yeah. That's the only reason I bought it. I didn't bring it for some operation or some conversation back and forth. I literally bought it because I was blown away by the French word. Interesting, huh?
And it suits perfectly.
It fits. Yeah. And it's nice to look at. It's nice to have something there. Walky Talky Podcast. Yeah. It's a great name. I have to ask. I don't actually know necessarily why Walky Talky Podcast.
Yeah. Why Walky Talky? I think it was kind of like I had the idea about the name a year before I started. Mm-hmm. And the idea comes up out of the thought that I'm walking. My idea was walking to Australia.
Really? Walking from here to Australia? You can't do it.
From Germany. So
really? Like walking overland all through Asia?
That was kind of the idea when I decided, okay, I packed my bag and
I'm going to walk the whole way.
Yeah, it was like I walk and maybe hitchhike a bit. And I said that in a few episodes before, like then I came to the point, how do I want to save memories? And then I decided, okay, well, I just talk with people and interview them and recorded it and share it. So, and then for me it was like completely clear, if you walk around the world and talk with people, that whatever you do, you call it walkie-talkie. Mm-hmm. And
it seems so perfect. It's like it's the perfect summary. It's an easy, simple, but
there's a lot of German words are also like pretty easy. Yeah, putting together, like two words putting together, and that's my German brain.
That's right.
Put that together. Like I walk somewhere and I talk with people. So then I call it walkie-talkie.
But it's just that's a German, the pragmatic brain, right? You just work it out.
Boring, but
no, unoriginal. You spice it up. Well, it's funny you say that German words because I've said it to you in the past, but I love a German word. And like for instance, you talk about practical words. Bademeister, right? My pronunciation's wrong.
Bademeister, yeah.
Bademeister, excuse me.
Yeah.
Bathing master.
Yeah.
Like a lifeguard for a swimming pool.
Yeah.
That just makes sense, right?
Yeah.
It's no stupid. You haven't thrown extra vowels on the end or anything or any consonants. It's just bathing master.
Yeah.
Germans, they just break things down simply. Walky, talky.
Sometimes. Yeah.
It's good. Sometimes. I like it. I think that's the best reason. It's an honest reason. It's a good reason. I like that.
Yeah, and it's nice, and I feel more and more that it's very suits to my life now as well. Like I'm not walking all the time; I'm driving a lot, and
you've betrayed yourself. What are you doing? Driving instead of walking? How dare you? It's only an hour and a half to the closest city. You can walk that in -30. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, but it's still like I think it's like it's a nice. Yeah, how to say it? It's a nice thing to bring people together.
I think
like,
so.
It sounds like walking together, talking together.
Yeah.
It's exactly what we talked about.
It's the experience. It's an experience. Yeah. And from the moment you said, let's go and do this, you are together. It's like the episode started when you tell me to come with you.
Yeah.
It's like you ease into it. It's not like we sit down, start, play. It happens. It's the whole process leading up to that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very natural, and it's very cool. Something else I quickly want to jump in as well, and someone that's kind of been a name that's popped up in us getting to know each other is John Lennon, which I think is super. I mean, everyone loves the Beatles. Don't get me wrong, but you bought a shirt recently. Can you talk? I want you to talk about that shirt, and before I go any further into John Lennon,
I can do that because
do that, please.
I grew up in a big family, and my dad is one of the biggest Beatles fan I ever saw, and so there was no choice being not a Beatles fan.
You are a Beatles fan.
I like the Beatles. I wouldn't say I'm a big, huge fan, but I really like them, and I love to listen to them. But then you get to this age when you like 12, 11, 13, I don't know, you get interested in people who did something great in the world, and in school you have to maybe write something down about persons, and I choose John Lennon.
Really?
So, I had to write something down about John Lennon.
About his story, his history,
his
everything.
life,
that was your
short
person.
story of his life.
Interesting, right?
His person. And since I was getting a bit deeper to the person John Lennon, I always have a lot of things about him in mind because he was such a great thinker and a great, different thinker. And so that's why I really like this person and his mentality, how he lived and how he tried to make a change.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, absolutely.
Yeah. But that's not about that. So
that's a good build up. You have to build it up.
So
I like that.
Let's build up for the shirt.
Build it up.
I was in Calgary after I lived with this beautiful couple from my last episode, and I get used to, and I really like to go to thrift shops and buy stuff because everything is there, so don't have to produce a lot of new stuff. So I went to a thrift shop. And I was thinking, okay, I'm going to the Yukon. I'm working as a waiter again after a long time.
Got to dress up a little
I want to dress up a bit
Look
myself. So let's see what I can
nice.
find in the thrift shop.
Yes.
So, and I looked for shirts and didn't really find something. And then this crazy black shirt with green, I don't know how to say that,
it's like green, it's like lining inside of it's inside of the shirt and in the cuffs as well, isn't it as well?
Yeah.
It's like lined with this, I'm not sure, it's this beautiful green material. It looks great.
Yeah, so I saw like this looks fancy, this looks nice. I'm normally not wearing fancy stuff.
You are not a fancy guy.
Yeah,
man.
so at this point I was like, oh, that's nice. I try it, and then I noticed that there's a small sign on this shirt, which means it's the glass of John Lennon.
It's like a little caricature, a little thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a sign. It's a typical sign of John Lennon.
That's
stuff.
right.
So,
that's right.
And I was like, wow, that's great.
What are the chances having the story leading up to it just by chance?
Yeah, so
here it is.
I found a really nice fancy shirt. Like it's a John Lennon special shirt, whatever. It ended up in Calgary in a thrift shop, but I found it. And then I was thinking like, nice. So because my dad is probably visiting me here.
Yes, in February, right?
And then if he's not listening to this episode,
he should be. Dad, you should be.
I can surprise him with this nice shirt.
Okay, maybe he should. Maybe hopefully he's not.
Bringing him like whatever drinks and the dinner, whatever, and having this nice John Lennon shirt on. And then I saw like it's also nice because I had a small picture of you because Ollie told me a bit, and then I saw. I'm pretty sure I don't know this guy Sam. I not really know him, but I was pretty sure that he would love the shirt as well.
And I do.
And just because what I knew about you.
This is what you had an inkling, a feeling that I would connect with that shirt.
Yeah.
Can I just go on from what you're saying? And I'm going to be honest with you. No, stop right now. Get out. I've had half a beer. You're drunk, Sam. No, but can I be honest? I love music and I do love the Beatles. But when I was 18 years old, I was in India. And I remember it distinctly. I was with a friend. We were on the building, a tall building in Delhi. And I stood there and spoke with an English guy. He was from up north, a place called Oldham. And he and I were talking, and I said these words, quote, I said, the Beatles are the most overrated band of all time.
You said that?
I said that, 18 years old. I think I was in the stage where I was kind of like looking at the rare Led Zeppelin B-side tracks. I was trying to be that I like different music. The Beatles were too mainstream, right? You know what changed my mind? I watched the documentary and I read a lot about the Beatles when they started, when John Lennon, when George, Paul, Ringo, everyone, they were all young.
Yeah.
And what got them together? Because before they were a big band that everyone knows, they were fun young fellows. They were young kids.
Yeah.
They were tricksters. They were jokesters. They were so funny. They made black and white movies about going to find one of their granddads. They used to get so high when meeting the Queen that they would push Ringo to the back and be like, don't talk. Yeah. They were just friends having fun. Yeah. And that's the key component which really got me to the Beatles is before they were huge, they were fun. They were guys having fun.
Yeah. It wasn't planned.
It wasn't planned. It wasn't like we're going to be the best. Yeah. It was just guys having fun, getting together and jamming, and it just worked so well. We don't need to go on about that. And I thought that changed my mind completely, obviously. But the whole idea of that having fun first, being silly, being stupid, having fun, talking nonsense, and then it makes you comfortable, makes you happy, and then you can produce. Yeah. Then the goods come from that.
Yeah.
It's a good platform. You can't just jump into it. Yeah. You have to be silly, have fun, and then just let it naturally lay.
Yeah, then it's getting more real.
Real. Yeah. Isn't it? Yeah. And that was the Beatles for me. Yeah. So, I didn't. If you showed me that shirt when I was 18, I would have burnt it. I would have literally burned it.
That's why we met now.
That's why we met now. Of course. Now we're old and wise. Now we're old and wise.
In an old cow.
Yeah, look at us drinking beer and
cigars.
I would never smoke a cigar. I hate cigars. Can't stand them. But I do like drinking beer and talking with you. That's for sure. This has been something very special. I really enjoy this.
And John had a lot of nice wise sentences. Like we talked about this when he was in school.
What was the one? You know it better than I do. When he was at school and he was asked to do some sort of answer a question. What was it again?
The teacher said write down what you want to become in the future.
That's right.
So and then he wrote down, I want to be happy.
I want to be happy.
So he give the letter back to the teacher, and then the teacher said to John, well, John, I think you didn't get the question right. And then John looked at him and said, well, I think you didn't understand life.
And this is a kid, right?
There's a few things. If it was really like this,
but it's paraphrasing, as they say.
It doesn't matter.
But the whole point of it is that.
The whole point of that is great.
And that's a young John Lennon.
Yeah.
And you talk about the frame of mind he grew into. It started like down there, right?
Yeah.
And isn't that amazing? You don't understand life.
Yeah, and it's still if you see around the world how many people struggling about the question what I will become in the future, what I want to do for a living, and for the most people the question I want to be happy is so far away.
I know.
It's
the end product.
Exactly.
It's like it's not the starting line; it's the finishing line.
And so I struggle as well with that question always. I noticed over the years, it's completely allowed and it's completely right to be happy in the present as well. I don't have to go for that for the rest of my life.
You don't have to aim for it.
Figure it out. Yeah.
There's no end goal. It doesn't just. There's no gates opening up and you see happiness standing there.
Yeah. No.
It can be now. It can be in this
now.
moment. It can be right here, sitting here, talking to you right now.
And it disappears.
Gone.
And it come back. But it's not somewhere.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
It can and that's the thing, disappearing is interesting too. And if it does disappear, it's not about like trying to bring it back, force it back.
Yeah.
Let it go. Let it go. It'll come back. Yeah. It'll come back. Comes in waves or with the winds. So we say, being patient and waiting for it to come back.
Yeah.
That's nice, huh?
Yeah.
But it's funny, I want to do something really quickly, because we've been going for like 4 hours and everyone's probably asleep. But talk about being silly and having fun. Something that I like to do is what I call weird therapy. And it's just something that takes a couple of seconds, right? If I'm sort of a little bit stressed or highly strung and it's not working out too well, I just like to have like a 5-second kind of release where I usually my hands and my vocals, I just make as many weird sounds and do as strange things as I can in 5 seconds. Can we do a 5-second weird therapy right now?
Sure.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Can we stand?
Yeah, we can stand.
Is it okay with the microphones? Are we going to be okay here?
No, that's fine.
We don't want to move too fast. And literally just in a couple of seconds, for 5 seconds, you just do whatever you want with your hands, make as many weird noises for 5 seconds. Ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all you do. Now, that's going to sound very odd. And no one's going to recall that on a song. But it's a release. It's something funny. You laugh, you feel weird. It's just whatever. There's no one looking, no one judging. It's just that.
You feel.
That's
It's
intense. It's fun. It's great. Yeah. And it can break you away from anything that's tying you down. Yeah. I just sometimes like to do that. Yeah. And even on a smaller scale, you don't have to bark like maybe I did at the end there, but you can do it. Yeah. And it's so great. As a little reminder, back to the Beatles, to be funny and be silly first. Yeah. Yeah. And maybe from that, you relax, you release, you do something better in the future that's actually meaningful. Who knows? Yeah. But that's fun.
Great.
That's fun.
We have one thing that we have to share with the world.
One thing? Really?
Yeah, because we had the big opportunity to change the world and replace COVID, but we missed it because we had the Weasel in my car. And we found the solution. Driving around Canada with the Weasel in the car.
Little Javier
was his name, and we found the solution to get out of COVID, but we missed it. You wanna?
That was it. We thought as we were driving to drop off this Weasel that has just infuriated us at the resort. It's been running around everywhere. Its guests have seen it. It's been poking its head out. It's nearly been caught multiple times, and finally, I'm going to give you the credit. Jan with the live trap. It wasn't hurt. It was caught live. And we thought we'd drive and take it, 20 so kilometers away?
Yeah.
We thought that's going to be enough. Yeah. And as we're driving, I thought, why don't we just stick our finger in there and see if it bites? And we thought, no, it's silly. It's going to bite. It's stressed. It's panicking. But I thought, what if that Weasel bites me? And what it infects me with is the cure for COVID. Right there. It's not like I'm not getting tetanus or rabies. Just that reaction there, the bacteria infection right there, it just blows COVID out of the water. Yeah. Imagine that.
No, I imagined that, and I felt like it's great.
That was great, right? We should have. Why didn't we risk that?
That's what I want.
You want to talk about why we didn't?
I would like to apologize now for the whole world that we didn't try.
I was scared. Yeah. I had this idea, and I really think that was the cure for COVID, but I was scared. Yeah. I wasn't willing for it to be wrong, and I didn't take the chance to put my finger in the cage with a Weasel, get bitten, and farm my blood to all these doctors and save the world from COVID. But I didn't, and I said to you I felt great before when we started this podcast. I now feel miserable because I've effectively ruined everything.
But I say that for a reason, because even if we stop the pandemic, which is serious, and it's also very, very important to be crazy and have crazy thoughts and have fun. Exactly like the Beatles. This is like the Beatles had.
Like the Beatles. This is right. Don't let it get you down too much.
There
has to be.
Say.
We all acknowledge it's serious. We all acknowledge that, and we have this non-stop feeling of statistics, numbers, good, bad. You have to stop and just laugh at it sometimes, and from that you can sort of reestablish yourself, like the Beatles did. Great.
And then maybe you feel a bit more happiness.
Yes. There we go. That's perfect.
How happy you feel to go home?
Happy. Gosh.
2 days.
2 days. I mean, a few flights to get home, quarantining and whatnot. Won't make Christmas, which is a shame, but I'll have to have like a beer from afar with my family.
Yeah.
And yeah, this has been a nice, I feel like this is me toning or easing it down. This just talking right now. It's just, I'm calming down.
Yeah.
I'm not as excited and I'm not as crazy as I was when we walked in the door. I feel like I'm leveled.
Yeah. Maybe we just met for the right time.
Maybe this was it.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't leave. We just sit here forever.
Oh, no problem.
Is that fine?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no fire. The fire's gone out.
Now it's a good temperature.
Now it's comfortable.
It's not too hot anymore.
It's okay now. The door's closed, everyone, by the way. The door has never been open. It's nice. It's a perfect spot. And it's been a perfect day.
Yeah. After 4 years, you're going home.
4 years gone home.
That's exciting.
It is.
And I'm very happy that you came to my podcast and talked about your life. And
Jan, thank you for dealing with my strangeness and weird questions, but thank you for being an active participant, not just a podcast host, but a participant.
Yeah.
Because we're just friends talking and you
Yeah.
just naturally have got it. So thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. If you have one last sentence for the world out there, and a wise sentence.
A wise sentence. Yeah. Okay, everyone, we're talking about listening before. We talked about listening and how the importance of listening. Be interested before being interesting. That's how I'm going to finish it.
Perfect.
Perfect? Is that good?
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, Jan.
Well, I walk upon the river like it's easier than land. Evil's in my pocket and your will is in my hand. Oh, your will is in my hand. And I'll throw it in the current that I'll stand up on so still. Love is old from what I've heard, but my heart's learned to kill. Oh, mine has learned to kill. Oh, I said I could rise from the harness of our gold. Here come the tears, but like always, I let them go. Just let them go. Now spikes will keep them falling from the heavens to the floor. Future was our skin and now we